Good morning. It's Thursday, October 6th. Today we're visiting the homes of two more Virginia presidents, William Henry Harrison and John Tyler. We left off with James Monroe being our last president from Virginia. Our next president from Virginia will be William Henry Harrison. But who were the presidents between Monroe and Harrison? After Monroe was John Quincy Adams, and like Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe, Adams was from the Democratic-Republican Party. Then came Andrew Jackson from the Democratic Party, and then finally Martin Van Buren, also from the Democratic Party. Which brings us to Harrison and Tyler, both born in Virginia and both from the Whig Party. After breakfast, we're leaving the hotel in our bus at 7:30. We've got about a 2-hour drive to Sherwood Forest Plantation, home of John Tyler, and we're going to allow for a short stop at the Wawa convenience store for a bathroom break. John Tyler was an accidental president. Tyler was elected vice president on the 1840 Whig ticket with President William Henry Harrison. Tyler succeeded to the presidency after Harrison's death just 32 days after assuming office. John Tyler then became the 10th president of the United States. He was the first vice president to succeed to the presidency after the death of an incumbent. President John Tyler died in Richmond, Virginia on January 18, 1862 of a stroke. Tyler's death was the only one in presidential history not to be officially recognized in Washington, D.C. because of his loyalty to the Confederacy. His coffin was covered with the Confederate flag. So why is John Tyler's plantation called Sherwood Forest? Well, he was expelled from the Whig Party that nominated him. He was the first president threatened with impeachment. So he named his plantation Sherwood Forest because he considered himself a political outlaw like Robin Hood. Sherwood Forest is the longest frame house in America. It stretches the length of a football field, 300 feet, but it's only one room deep. Upon arrival, we were treated to free cookies and tea at their administration office. Our group is being divided into two separate groups. One will explore the outside, while the other tours the interior. Our group is going to start with the outside. This Shingle Maker was built in 1878, and it was used up until 50 years ago. This building is called the Wine House, and it was built in 1660. Sherwood Forest originally produced tobacco, and this 17th century building, one of the oldest dependencies in America, was used for hanging and curing tobacco leaves. President Tyler's staple crop was wheat. In 1845, he converted the unused tobacco barn into a wine house, producing his own wines. John Tyler bought this 1,200-acre plantation in 1842 when he was still serving as the 10th president, and it was his retirement home from 1845 until his death in 1862. It's time for our tour of the inside of the house now, but no photos are allowed since it is still the Tyler's residence. They did, however, sell postcards at their gift shop, so I'm using those photos to show you the interior. During President Tyler's 1845 renovation, his second wife, Julia, was influenced by the popular Greek Revival style. This led to the decision to add the porches, pilasters, cornices, and ornate medallions, all designed by a New York architect. Between the drawing room and the gray room, there are haunted steps which lead from the main floor to the nursery upstairs. Many people have stated that they have heard the gray lady walking around. It was believed she was a governess, and a child in her care grew ill and died, and she has been haunting ever since. This ballroom was specifically designed for dancing the Virginia Reel. Here's an interesting fact about President Tyler. He was born in 1790, and he has a living grandson. The first wives of President John Tyler and his fourth son, Lyon, died, so both men remarried to younger women with whom they had children. President Tyler was 63 when Lyon was born, and Lyon was 75 when Harrison Ruffin was born. Until very recently, Harrison actually lived at Sherwood Forest, and now President Tyler's great-grandson William lives there. As we head back to the bus, we're going to stop at the pet cemetery where President Tyler buried his horse, General. In addition, many of the family pets over the years have been buried here. We're leaving Sherwood Forest Plantation now, and we're going to Indian Fields Tavern, a short drive away. We're now leaving the tavern, and we're going to the Berkeley Plantation, which is the home of William Henry Harrison and his grandson, Benjamin Harrison. In 1726, Benjamin Harrison IV built the three-story brick home on the site that we're going to visit today. His son, Benjamin Harrison V, signed the Declaration of Independence and was a friend of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and other patriots. It was at Berkeley that his youngest son, William Henry Harrison, was born in 1773. William was elected president in 1840 and is most famous for dying. He was 68 when sworn into office in 1841. Perhaps Harrison's age, or maybe his macho Tippecanoe and Tyler II campaign slogan, influenced him to not wear a hat or coat during his inaugural speech, which was on a chilly March day. He spoke for 2 hours, delivering the longest inaugural speech in history. He then served the shortest tenure, just 32 days. It is believed that this is the oldest three-story brick house in Virginia. The outside walls of this home are 3 feet thick. This is a 3-story home with 3 floors and a basement. Each floor has 4 large rooms divided by an open hall that extends from the front to the back. There are 3 buildings: the main house, and then flanking it on either side is the kitchen and the bachelor quarters. It's the bachelor quarters that have now been converted into the visitor center and gift shop, and it's on the patio of this building that we begin our tour.
You guys listen and pay attention to me. I don't know, maybe right. Sometimes. Do you have a good attention span?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I have the attention span of a gnat, so.
They're pretty good. They have a pretty good attention span. They're just all kind of angry because there was no dessert. So.
Oh, I'm angry for you guys. No dessert. Down this lane right here, you'll see the slave quarters. Those were left after the filming of Harriet, along with Mercy Street as well. The movie Loving recently filmed here, and early 90s movie Major Payne. Anyone saw that one? Come on, you guys, you're hurting my feelings. That was a good movie. That was 1993, I think.
What was the name of it again?
Major Pain. That did some filming out here as well. So definitely go back and watch that one if you have time one day.
Though the architecture of this house is significant, Berkeley Plantation is well known for other historical events. English settlers landed in 1619 and celebrated what is considered the first Thanksgiving, in prayer form at least. During the Revolutionary War, the infamous Benedict Arnold was dispatched to Berkeley, where he burned all of their furniture, but spared the house because he was to be awarded Berkeley after the British won the war. The bugle call "Taps" was composed and first played here.
No skirmishes, however, we do end up with that cannonball courtesy of Jeff Stewart, shot from 4 miles away over at Westover Church.
We know this house was built in 1726 because of the date stone above the door. If you look closely, you can see the initials and the date. There's an H for Harrison, B for Benjamin, A for Anne, and the date is 1726. We're now going to do a tour of the interior of the home. No photos or videos are allowed inside, so again, I bought postcards at their gift shop to show you what the interior looks like. We start in the entry hall of their home, which is served also as a ballroom for the many parties held by the Harrisons. A frequent guest at these parties was George Washington, who evidently was a great dancer. The floors are original hardwoods, so you can actually walk in the footsteps of Washington and our other nation's first 10 presidents, all who have visited Berkeley at some point in its early history. We saw 2 different parlors and learned that Thomas Jefferson had an architectural interest in Berkeley. Our guide told us fascinating stories about Jefferson's insistence on changing the doorways and the walls in the parlors, and how he would not leave until it was done the way he thought was best. The other 2 rooms on the tour are the dining room and the gentleman's room. We now have free time to explore more of the outdoors. First up is the museum in the basement. In the basement museum, there are themed rooms displaying artifacts and paintings depicting Berkeley's history from the first Thanksgiving through colonial times. The Civil War rooms are interesting, with pictures from the Union occupation of Berkeley to the history of taps, which was composed here. As I left the basement museum, I followed the path to the kitchen house, which is just next door. Inside, I found a kitchen and a dining space decorated as it was during colonial times. The gardens and grounds of this property are incredible. There are 10 acres of formal gardens and parterres. For the movie Harriet, several cabins were built to depict the lives of enslaved persons. These cabins are now a part of the Berkeley's tour and contain information on the enslaved persons at Berkeley and their fate. With the last of my free time, I went to the Coach House Tavern and watched a 10-minute movie about Berkeley's history, and then I went over to the gift shop to explore it. It's now time to leave the Berkeley Plantation and head back to our hotel. We're all walking 2 blocks from our hotel to Burtons Grill for our farewell dinner at 7 p.m. Some of the favorite meals were the Mediterranean chicken risotto and the salmon romesco. And for dessert, it was key lime pie or chocolate budino.
Huge pile of cats around for 5 days. Yeah. Wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you very much. I thank you all for not laughing at me for having such a difficult time counting to 22. But I have learned and I will always be able to count to 22 now. Well, not laughing so loudly that I can hear. You didn't hurt my feelings that much until right now. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed this program so much.
Even though we've had our farewell dinner, our tour still goes until tomorrow at noon. I'm going to go ahead and close out today's vlog.